the summer of 2008, in a little antique shop on Elm Street, there was a doll that caught everyone's attention. It wasn't just any doll. It was a ventriloquist doll named Mr. Mortimer. This doll had a wooden face, glassy eyes that never blinked, and it wore a tiny suit with a bow tie. But there was something eerie about its permanent grin. Little did anyone know. This doll held a mysterious and spooky secret that would change the lives of those who encountered it forever. The shop owner, Mr. Harrison, didn't know much about Mr. Mortimer's history. It had been found in the attic of an estate sale, and that's about all anyone could say. But as soon as Mr. Mortimer arrived in the shop, strange things began happening. At first it was subtle. Mr. Harrison would come in to open the shop and he'd notice Mr. Mortimer's head had turned a little, as if it were looking at something. He thought it was just his imagination. But then, the weird stuff got weirder. One night, Mr. Harrison heard whispers in the shop like someone was talking softly. When he went to see, he found Mr. Mortimer sitting on a shelf, its mouth moving as if it were talking to someone. But there was no one there. Mr. Harrison got scared, thinking there was something seriously wrong with this doll. He decided to sell it to a collector named Mr. Wainwright, hoping to be rid of it. He practically gave Mr. Mortimer away, thinking he was done with it. But it turned out that Mr. Mortimer wasn't done with him. Within days of bringing the doll home, Mr. Wainwright started experiencing the same creepy stuff, whispers in the dark, the feeling of being watched, and this strange idea that the doll was somehow alive. Mr. Wainwright got freaked out and started looking into Mr. Mortimer's history. He found out that the doll looked a lot like a famous ventriloquist named Theodore Blackwood, who died in a mysterious way back in the 1940s. People said Blackwood was into weird stuff like the supernatural and that he might have put his own spirit into his favorite doll before he died. Mr. Wainwright called a paranormal expert, Dr. Evelyn Foster, for help. They did a ritual to talk to the spirit in the doll. During the ritual, it felt like there was something spooky in the room. Dr. Foster heard whispers and the doll moved like it was alive. They realized that Theodore Blackwood's spirit was stuck inside Mr. Mortimer. With Dr. Foster's guidance, they did a special ritual to free Blackwood's spirit from the doll. When they finished, the doll didn't look eerie anymore. Its glassy eyes weren't creepy, and its weird grin disappeared. The spirit was finally free. Mr. Wainwright decided to give the doll to a local museum, where it was shown as a reminder that strange things can happen with old objects. All the scary stuff with Mr. Mortimer was over, but it was a lesson that even ordinary-looking things can have weird secrets. A long time ago, someone in Florida made a special doll. It wasn't like regular dolls. It was big, about 40 inches tall and dressed in a sailor suit. It had big dark eyes that looked a bit creepy. The doll was given to a little boy named Robert Eugene Otto, but he liked to be called Gene. He thought the doll was so special that he gave it his own name, Robert. Something weird started happening. Gene's parents heard him talking to the doll, but it was even weirder because they thought the doll was talking back in a strange, high-pitched voice. It wasn't Gene's voice. Gene's family began to believe that the doll was causing bad things to happen. When something went wrong, like dishes breaking, Gene would say it was Robert's fault. They thought there was something very wrong with the doll. Here's the creepiest part. People who walked by their house said they saw the doll moving from one window to another. Even when nobody was inside, it was like the doll was alive. Today, Robert the doll is in a museum in Florida. He's in a glass case so people can look at him. But here's the strange part. Some folks believe he still has strange powers. They say if you take his picture without asking first, bad things will happen to you. Robert the doll is now famous for being one of the spookiest dolls ever. People like to tell stories about him, and he's even been in movies and books. Whether you believe in spooky stuff or not, Robert's story is one that gives you the shivers and makes you wonder about strange mysteries that can't always be explained. The Okiku doll is a traditional Japanese doll that is said to be around 100 years old. It has a kimono-clad appearance and long black hair, which is characteristic of Japanese ghost stories. A long time ago, a girl named Okiku got this doll as a gift when she was a kid. She loved it a lot. According to the legend, Okiku's family noticed something strange about the doll. Its hair appeared to grow longer over time, despite having a fixed length when it was initially acquired. It is said that the hair would grow by a few centimeters each year. Resembling the way hair grows on a living person, Okiku's family thought the doll was haunted. They believed that Okiku, who had died when she was a child, put her spirit inside the doll. That's why its hair kept growing. This idea was kind of spooky. To keep the doll safe and away from people, Okiku's family put it in a temple, like a special place for religious things. Even there, people were still curious about the doll and wondered if it was really haunted. The Okiku doll is now a famous part of Japanese stories. People sometimes think it's like a special type of ghost in Japanese legends, which is interesting for those who like spooky stories. But remember, it's just a story, and whether it's real or not is something people still wonder about today. If you want second part of this video, let me know in the comments section. And do like and subscribe my channel for more horror stuff.